Hi there, Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com, bringing you this week's Connection with Intention. First of all, thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way, and I'm grateful for the time that you're taking out of your day to be here with me. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, you're more than welcome to comment like hello. It's so wonderful to see you here. Thank you. I'm going to ask people to hold off on asking their questions just yet. And that's because it takes people a while to get on. And I want to give everybody the opportunity to receive a reading. Also, if we've done a reading for you over the last couple of months on the show, I might skip over your question again, just so that there's the opportunity for everybody or as many people as possible to receive a reading. So before I get into that, I want to talk about, I've been flip-flopping about what we're going to talk about today, and we might end up quickly talking about two things. So one thing that has been coming up a lot recently is around affirmations. And honestly, as I was preparing to come in today, I was expecting to talk about the other topic first, but I love how something just took over and said, no, we're talking about affirmations first. So let's talk about affirmations. First of all, I find that some of the words that we use in like this spiritual, new agey kind of energy that we have here, that sometimes when we talk about them, people aren't really fully and completely aware of what it is. So an affirmation is like a statement. An affirmation statement is often how they're referred to, is something that you are inviting into your life. It is a new truth that you are wanting to invite in and to create in your life. One of the things that I found to be really important in working with affirmation statements. Actually, hold on. I'm going to back up just a stack. It's a new truth that we're wanting to create in our lives when we bring in affirmations, and usually it's not currently in our life because of belief systems or blocks or other things. So, what I'm going to talk about first is actually recognizing where there might be some work to do in order to invite in this affirmation statement. It doesn't work to come up with an affirmation statement that you do not believe you have any possibility of manifesting or creating in your life. So, for example, at this point where I'm sitting right here, I'm not really seeing a way that I would be manifesting $1 million cash on my front doorstep. So, it doesn't make any sense to use an affirmation that there is no level in my being that believes that that is something that could possibly be true or that could possibly happen. So, one of the things that's really important when it comes to working with affirmations and affirmation statements is start from a place where there's already a little bit of reality that is happening. It can be really helpful to build upon circumstances and situations that are already present in your life. It can be really helpful to focus on improving that as a stepping stone to come into the next point in the next place in your life, in the circumstances and the situations that you're looking at. So you want to make sure that you're focusing on something that you believe is something that is realistic and achievable and not completely out of the blue. And I'm not saying that that can't happen, but just from a practical, regular, day to day type of use, it's really important to focus on things that you can actually see happening for yourself. You can certainly work towards manifesting bigger goals as well, but step by step is really helpful and important. So focus on something where it's already partially in your reality. The next thing that can be really helpful and important when it comes to working with affirmation statements is to look at and see where there might be blocks that are existing within you. So, for example, one of the things I have been working with recently has to do with relationship and partnership. And one of the beliefs that I realized that I have was that I had a block around meeting somebody in the area that I live in. And so that can be either something to work on and to address or to look at changing and shifting. So take a look at the things that you are wanting to invite into your world and into your life experience, and focus on the things that it might be standing in your way, that you might have blocks around, because it's really difficult to create something in your life if you've got all of these hidden resistances that are kind of standing in the way of bringing that in. The other thing, when I work with affirmation statements, I like to surround the affirmation statements with things that I already know to be true and that I'm already grateful for. So, for example, what I might do is I might start off with, I'm really grateful that I have so many amazing clients in my world. And truly, that is one of the things I'm really grateful for. And I feel that on a daily basis. I am so grateful for all of the clients I have. I'm so grateful for the space that I have to do my work. I'm grateful for this amazing romantic relationship and partnership that's in my life. I'm really grateful for the fact that I have a vehicle that's dependable that gets me from A to B. I'm really grateful for the relationships and the friendships that have stood by me over the years. So, what I did was that middle statement is the one that possibly hasn't come into my reality at this point, but all of the other things around it are. And one of the things that does is that kind of helps to trick ego, because when I say that statement, I'm really grateful for the clients that I have in my life and the people that I've met through the work that I do. Ego's like, yeah, I can't fault that one. That one's true. And then the next one is like, yeah, you're right. Yep, we're going to let that one go through. And then the next one, and then you just kind of keep rolling with it. And there are enough things that you not only believe to already be true, but you're also focusing on bringing that energy in and affirming that. And it helps to bypass ego. So it's one of the ways that you can allow your belief system to slide by. The other thing that can be really important when it comes to working with affirmation or affirmation statements is to come from a place of command. So often when we're working with affirmation statements, we might come at it from oh, please, could I? Which isn't a really powerful place. And it also kind of indicates that, we don't believe that it could happen and it's not already there. Gratitude is really important, but oh, please, can I has kind of a wishy-washy feeling to it. So instead, make a statement that is really positive and strong while also expressing gratitude for this new circumstance or situation to be in your life. And then the other aspect is sometimes we demand things like, you must. Well, when we come at it from that perspective and that direction, there's also an underlying level of fear that is there. If somebody is really like pulling at something, often there's a sense of underlying fear. And it's really important to not have that fear as part of the affirmation statements that you're working with, because that's a level of, I don't believe that this is going to happen, or I don't believe that this is already true. Instead, use an energy of command. And when you command something, you are confident in the fact that it is going to be addressed, that it is already part of your life, or it's becoming part of your life. And there isn't this push pull, there's just this expectation that it will be and that it will happen and that it is already happening. One of the last little bits that I'm going to leave you with around affirmation statements is the importance of incorporating in some way this or something better. And the reason for that is sometimes the things that you are wanting to invite into your life or create in your life are not necessarily one in your best and highest good. And this can be if you're really working hard to affirm that this particular person is your romantic partner and that these are the particular circumstances that you're inviting in and that are going to happen. Sometimes that's not in your best and highest good. And so what you can do is you can say this or something better. And that acknowledges and recognizes that, hey, like I'm wanting this, but universe is like, but what if we upgraded it? And what if it looked like this instead? And so that just leaves an openness for new opportunities and new beginnings that are even better than you may have imagined for yourself, because we are limited in what we can see and perceive, and universe is like omnipresent. And what our limited beliefs are don't take into account everything, or pardon me, our limited perspective doesn't take into account all of the possibilities. But universe is able to do that for us, so there is lots of opportunity for something even bigger or even better. Sorry, bigger isn't necessarily better, even better than what it is that you're asking for. The other topic, I'll be really quick with it because I see that I've taken a lot of time here. The other topic is around boundaries. And the only thing that's really been popping up is that boundaries are a form of love. It is not necessarily something that is meant to end relationships or circumstances or situations. It is more the way that we have to make sure that we are healthy and loved. And it's what will potentially allow relationship or circumstances to continue if that is what we're wanting. So seeing boundaries as being a form of love for ourselves and for others. Now, I do really quickly want to do the ask a question with the crystals. But before we do that, I'm going to pop on and we're going to say hello to everybody. So Ange and Marie and Danielle, hello. Thank you for joining us. Carrie, Jessica, it's wonderful to see you. Margaret and Casey and Lisa and Jamie, hello. And Carrie and Allison, Cindy, Josie, Tracy, Jackie, hello, everybody. It's so wonderful to see you. Thank you all so much for joining me this evening. What I'll do is we're going to pull down the hellos here. And so if you're wanting to ask a question this evening, please ask a specific question. So for example, love life would not be specific, but what is happening in my current relationship, or what do I need to know about bringing a new partner into my life? Those would be really specific questions. If you want me to use a particular card deck, please mention it with the comment. I see them as they come up, so I don't see your replies with it. So we have the yellow deck, which is the Archangel Oracle card deck. We have the blue deck, which are the mermaids and dolphins. And we have the green deck, which is the messages from your angels. All right, so I'm going to put up our crystal choices for this evening. I need to find a better way of taking the picture because they're not really coming through very clearly. But the crystal choices that you have are rainbow fluorite, Lemurian quartz, and smoky quartz. So what I'll ask you to do is take a moment to think about any questions you may have. You're more than welcome to think about more than one question and assign different crystals. And if you don't have any specific questions, you can ask, what do I need to know right now? So take a full deep breath in and out. Think about your question. Call on your angels or your guides, whoever you like to work with, and just ask your question and then ask for a crystal to represent it. So again, we have rainbow fluorite, Lemurian quartz, and smoky quartz. And while you guys are connecting with your questions and whatnot, we've got this guy here for our smoky quartz. And we have this guy for our Lemurian quartz. And we have this guy for our rainbow fluorite. All right, so I'm going to take this down. So if you've chosen the rainbow fluorite, the card that we have for you this evening is the Teresa card. And this is all about self-care. Time out. You've been so busy taking care of everyone else's needs, but now it's time to stop and take care of yourself. So what this card is saying is that it's really important for you to focus on yourself, your own needs, and what you are needing to get from the circumstances or situation. This can also be an indicator to take a little bit of a step back or step away from the situation or the question that you've asked about, that there are other things that are more pressing and more important. And there's lots of encouragement to make sure that you are taking care of yourself and your own needs. Also, sometimes what happens when we take a step back is we have the opportunity to gain a new perspective about the things that are happening and that are going on. I've recently had a conversation with a person, and she was telling me, everything is boiling up in my life right now, and just the littlest thing causes things to snap or to boil over. And I suspect that this is part of, or could be part of, the energy that is coming up for people, is that you're already kind of at a point where you're hitting a bit of a wall. There's been a meme that's been circulating that I love, and basically it's saying, hitting a wall can is not necessarily about like completely stopping you or beating you up. Sometimes it's there to support you because you need a rest and you need a break. So take a break, take a step back, focus on your needs in the circumstances and the situation that you're in. If you chose the Lemurian card, the card that we, or pardon me, Crystal, the card we have for you this evening is contemplation time. Spend time alone, meditating upon what you truly desire. And this is interesting because to me, it kind of plays on the affirmations and energy around affirmation statements that we were just talking about. Once you become clear about what it is that you are wanting and needing, it's easy to prioritize that. And so this is lots of encouragement to make sure that you are taking that time to step back and to ask, what is it that is important to me right now? Where do I feel the need to be investing my resources? So my energy, my time, possibly finances, my mental capacity, my emotional capacity to give and to support others. What are the things that are most important to me? And then there's also the opportunity to do some manifestation work and affirmation work around that too. And the last card is the smoky quartz. So if you chose smoky quartz this evening, your message is compassion. Soften your heart with respect to the situation and all the people involved, including yourself. One of the things that I find really important with compassion is, in order to be able to be compassionate with other people, we first need to be compassionate with ourselves. We first need to support ourselves and to give ourselves the opportunity to see, instead of beating ourselves up, how can I be more gentle with myself? Because when we're more gentle with ourselves, we're able to be more gentle with other people, because we aren't pushing to overcome or to surpass. And why aren't you also pushing? Because you should be pushing too. If I'm pushing, you should be pushing. We can get out of that mentality by taking a step back and offering ourselves compassion. If you've asked about a situation or something else that's going on, as much as possible, look to see the other person's point of view. You aren't necessarily going to agree with it. It might not be how you're seeing the world, but look for the ways in which you can find compassion for other people who are involved, because it will make it that much easier to resolve the situation, to move forward in a situation. Awesome. So those are our crystal questions for this evening. Let me just see here. We're going to pop back and we're going to do a check-in. Let me see. Awesome. Oh, wow. We've had lots of comments coming in. Okay, so we've got Sue here. Hi, Sue. Thanks for joining us. Sue says, my husband is having some health issues. These are painful and scary. Can you see an end to this? Let me see, what do we have coming up? So the first thing that I have coming through is the sense that there's help that is needed. So I do want to encourage you to be working with some form of medical professional, either like family doctor or specialist or naturopathy or something. It does feel like there's more help that's needed. And it feels to me like there are a couple of pathways that you're going to be exploring before you're finding the answers and or the appropriate support for where your husband is and what it is that he's needing. And I think that's a really important point. Just because something works for one person doesn't mean that it's going to work for the next person. So sometimes in our healing journeys and our health journeys, we're needing to look to find answers from a couple of different places. And so it feels like there are a couple of different people or places that you guys are needing to look to in order to get the support on his journey. I am seeing that there is going to be support, but it doesn't. It feels like there's still more time that you're investing in his health and wellness before things truly feel like they're starting to get better. So during that time, I want to encourage you to connect with your support network and your support system. So friends and family, and make sure that you're leaning on them. I know everybody is in a place of burnout right now, just with things that have been happening in the world, but as much as possible, look for that support outside of yourselves and your relationship. that feels really important. Call on angels, God, source, universe, whatever your belief system is. I have Archangel Raphael popping up really strongly, so I see that as being really helpful. Archangel Raphael is the angel who helps and supports us with physical health and well-being. He also helps and supports us in finding the practitioners who will best support the healing journey that we're on, so that they have the appropriate knowledge and resources and ability to work with us to support us with the healing that we're doing. So if you're open to it, call on Archangel Raphael and ask him to help you and your husband in finding exactly where you need to be going and who you need to be talking to in order to get support. We just had a card pop out for you. This is the Archangel Oracle card deck, and the message is clairsentience. So this is Archangel Raguel, and his message is: notice your recurring physical and emotional feelings as they signify divine guidance. So clairsentience is one of the 4 primary ways that we receive intuitive messages and information. It manifests both in terms of like emotional feeling, as well as physical feelings that come up for us. So, like gut instinct, feeling that in the pit of your stomach, or the goosebumps, those are examples of clairsentience. And what this card is saying to me is that it's really important to listen to your gut as the 2 of you are moving forward on this journey. I do have a lot of peace that is coming up around you as well, around the 2 of you, with what it is that he's dealing with. So that does feel like there's a lot of support that's being offered with that. But I'm also really wanting to encourage you to take action, because that is definitely needed. And it feels like that's what allows you to move over this healing challenge that he's experiencing. Sue, I'm so grateful that you joined us this evening. Thank you so much. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you, and lots of healing to your husband and to you as well. You know, when your partner is going through a healing challenge like this, it has an impact on everybody. So lots of love, support, and healing to both of you. Hi, Brianne. I'm so glad that you joined us this evening. And Lisa, hello from Hot Springs Cove. Oh man, I've wanted to get over there. Hi, thanks for joining us. All right, we've got Ange here. Hi, Ange. Thanks for joining us. Let me see. So Ange says, my new man and I have done our best to take things as slow as we can. Our chemistry is off the charts. We get along with each other's friends. We seem to be mirroring each other in the best way. We just know what the other's needs are without saying anything. We've both had setbacks as individuals this week and are taking a breather. Do you see us moving forward as a couple still? Yeah, absolutely. As I was reading that, the first thing that I was getting is that the 2 of you are needing to come up for air, because it's almost like you're underwater and you're swimming around, and like your lung capacity is at its max. And yeah, there's a need to disconnect a little bit. Sorry, not disconnect. It's just more that you're needing to take a bit of time from each other in order to find the balance and the support, the balance that you're needing in order to support yourselves as individuals. Because although it feels like you guys are building, it doesn't feel like you're in a place where you're able to fully and completely support each other as partners, because things are still feeling fresh and new. So, I see this as like the figure 8 in relationships. When we develop relationships where there's codependency, we create a figure 8 that looks like this. And the point where we connect, it becomes kind of wobbly. Like it's hard to see as I'm drawing it, but it becomes a little bit wobbly. It becomes a little bit messy. But if each of us are our own circles and our own cycles, the point where we meet is really strong and connected. So you guys are still building your relationship while you are doing your things on a separate level, because it hasn't built up enough to be able to lean on each other in the way that I'm feeling you guys needing to lean right now with the things that are going on in your lives. So yes, I do still see things continuing, and this actually feels like this is a really positive thing to take this step back and to take this step away, because if at this point your relationship doesn't survive the 2 of you taking a breather to do your own thing, then it's likely not going to survive beyond it. Because if you need to be in each other's back pockets, that's not sustainable long term. And it doesn't feel like that's what you guys are wanting. So see this as being a really positive thing, a really exciting thing, and that the opportunity then exists for the 2 of you to connect even more strongly when you are spending time together. So yeah. And it's really interesting. You asked for the mermaid deck. I picked up the mermaid deck. We also had that breathing, like underwater breathing message that came through. And the card that we have here is let yourself receive. Allow others to give you loving care and receive without guilt or apologies. And it feels like this might be part of the dynamic that the two of you are going to be building in your relationship and partnership over time. I suspect that both of you are people who are givers, which is really awesome because it's great to have two people who are givers rather than a giver and a taker or two takers. That doesn't really sound very fair, but it it feels like this is, a good relationship and dynamic. But one of the things that people who are givers need to learn is how to receive for themselves. And I see that over time being something that the two of you are working on, but that's feeling really supportive in your relationship too. And it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. And Margaret saying she loved the affirmations topic. That's fabulous. I'm so glad that it resonated for you. Okay, so we have Cindy here. Hi, Cindy. Thanks for joining us. Cindy says, do you see a smooth trip in the fall? We are retired and not in bad health, so are looking forward to it. Um, yeah, it feels to me, I am seeing that there are a couple of bumps and hiccups, but this feels like this has more to do with the traveling itself. So, like if you're taking a plane, that there are some delays, or if you're going to be driving and it's your own vehicle as opposed to a rented vehicle, then make sure that you have your vehicle maintained before you go. Like those are the types of little hiccups that I'm seeing. From a health perspective, I'm not seeing that there are any challenges with that. So no, it feels like it's a relatively smooth trip that you're going on in the fall. I'm seeing people coming up around you with it. So I don't know if there is plan on your trip to either meet up with people along the way, or you're traveling with other people, or there's some sort of socializing that's happening. But that is also feeling really helpful and important too. So do make sure that you're taking time in your schedule to connect with other people while you're away, because that feels like it just expands the experience even more. See, we're going to go to the messages from your angels, and we're just going to ask, what does Cindy need to know? Cindy, and I'm going to assume partner, need to know about travel in the fall. Um, so we have the Adriana card, and this is kind of an exciting card for me. First of all, the message is I am leading you to the answer to your prayers. Please listen to and follow the steps I'm communicating through your intuition, thoughts, and dreams. I'll get to that in a moment. What I'm really drawn to in this card is the image itself of the angel with the light leading up the stairs, these children, because it feels like that's part of what's happening for you on the experience. Like it's almost like there's the option to go on this one path, or you could go on this other path and have an even more exciting time or an even better time. So I'm seeing that there is a lot of help and support happening on the other side in terms of how the trip is going to unfold and the opportunities to explore while you're traveling and while you're connecting with other people. I love the intuition part that's coming through too. So again, if you start, or if randomly out of the blue an idea comes up, oh, while we're there, we could do this, or we could sidetrack and explore here. See that as intuitive guidance that's helping and supporting you along the path that you're on. Cindy, it was a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you, and lots of encouragement for a wonderful time away in the fall. Hi, Lynette. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Okay, we've got Jessica here. Hi, Jessica. Jessica saying, I'm looking for guidance in regards to my teenage daughter and the struggles she has been going through. I'd love to know if the angel deck has any advice regarding her current life path. Okay, so let's take a look and see what we've got going on. So as soon as I tap into your daughter, everything feels like it's swirling around me. So I'm not surprised that she's been struggling and having a hard time, because I feel like I'm kind of in the middle of a cyclone and trying very desperately to find the place to land. Part of what I'm seeing, it feels like some of the things that she's dealing with, she doesn't have a lot of control over. But it does feel like there are some things that she is able to control isn't quite the right word, but that she's able to slow down or to calm down, to take some of the stress out of life with. And I would encourage her to focus on those things first, because these other things, regardless of whether she addresses them or not, she doesn't have a lot of control over them. But there are other things that it does feel like she has control over. So I mean, it could be, if we're looking at, say, like homework as being a stressor, then maybe we take some of the expectations off that we have around homework or around schoolwork or around grades. Or maybe we, find time and space to offset and make sure that we have time for positive social interactions, or for physical health and wellness, or for a bit of exercise. So it feels like there are aspects that she is able to bring some control in, that helps to give her an anchoring point and some stability. Because that feels like that's the biggest challenge that she's, sorry, not the biggest challenge, but that's one of the challenges that she is having in terms of being able to support herself while she's dealing with everything else that's going on around her. So, the big thing that I see coming up for her that she does have some control over is finding the little pockets where she is able to ground herself. She's able to do things that support herself and her energy. And I keep hearing expectations. Part of what I'm wanting to encourage is managing her expectations, and or recognizing that there might be some days that are easier and some days that are more difficult and challenging, and to adjust accordingly. I'm not sure if some sort of chronic pain or chronic issue is part of what's coming up for her, but the messages that were just coming through remind me of the messages that come up for people when they're experiencing chronic challenge and chronic issue. And so, for example, somebody who maybe deals with traumatic brain injury, for example, they'll have some days where they feel like they're their usual self, but then as a result, the next day or the next several days might be more challenging and difficult, and the expectations have to shift in order to accommodate where they are. And I'm seeing part of that coming into play for your daughter is managing expectations. If I do a lot this day, then maybe I don't expect as much of myself this day. And so a lot of this is about, creating space and creating compassion for herself moving forward. And I'm seeing you as her mom and parent being able to help and support her in that as well, in potentially encouraging her to take some downtime, or to redirect her energy into something else, so she's not spinning her wheels, and that she's able to do something that feels like it's productive, that gives her the ability to move forward with that thing that was challenging. Let me see, Jessica. We're going to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just asking what you need to know in order to best support your daughter. And we have the Remember Who You Are card. And this is Archangel Michael. And his message is, you are a powerful, loving, and creative child of God. And you are very loved. So when this card comes up, it really feels to me like it's encouragement to remind your daughter of just how special, how powerful, how amazing she is, how capable she is. Because again, it feels like that's part of the challenge that she is struggling with and dealing with, and a sense of feeling lost. So help her to see the light that is there, the light that is within herself, and that helps to give her a grounding point. Sometimes it can be helpful and beneficial to remind people of things that they've already overcome, or they've already gone through. So if there are any challenges that she's experienced in her life, say, hey, remember that time, and when you were 10, it felt like it was insurmountable, but you did this, this, and this, or together we did this, this, and this. And we're going to work together now, moving forward too. Jessica, I'm so glad that you joined us this evening. Thank you so much for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you and to your daughter too. Awesome. We've got Tracy here. Hi, Tracy. Thanks for joining us. Tracy's asking, is there a chance I would get back together with my ex-partner? And Tracy said, any deck. Okay, so let's see what we have going on. When I ask about your ex-partner, it's interesting because I am seeing that there's space there, but it also feels like there's some form of reconnection that the two of you have recently gone through. It kind of reminds me of not having had any contact with it with an ex, and then like suddenly out of the blue they pop up in your Facebook, or they send you a text message, or you bump into them in public. So it does feel like there's been some form of reconnection that has already happened after some time and space and some distance with this person not having been in your life. One of the things that I'm wanting to caution you of is it feels like some of the things that separated the two of you are still existing in your lives. It does feel like you've each gone on and you've done your own thing and you've done your own healing. Like, I do see that there has been a lot of time between when you broke up and now. Um, it does feel like circumstances have shifted and changed, and there is a lot of growth that's happened, but there are still some underlying challenges that feel like they're needing to be addressed. If you are wanting to get back together with your ex partner, it feels like there are things that you guys need to sort out and address beforehand. When I ask if this person is open to doing that, I get a flip flop. I'm seeing on the one hand, if it means getting what they're wanting in the short term, it feels like yes, but in terms of like long term and consistently um, s- making change or staying the track, I have some questions that are coming up. So if that was one of the challenges that the two of you experienced in your relationship in the past, address that now if you're both wanting to move forward. I don't have a really straightforward and clear cut answer for you because I'm seeing still a lot of questions and a lot of variables that are needing to be addressed before there's any opportunity for the two of you to move forward. So one of the things I'm asking is there another reason that the two of you have come back into each other's lives? And I do see, yes, that there's some healing, there's some resolutions, there's some growing and some learning and some understanding that's needing to happen. And all of that is feeling like that's really positive. And all of those things can also lead into new connection and new relationship with each other. We've got a lot of free will that's coming up here, and I don't have a straightforward answer for you. I do see that there's definitely the opportunity for it to happen, but it also feels like there are some hoops that one or both of you are needing to jump through in order for it to be realistic for a new partnership and relationship together. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Tracy need to know about her and her partner potentially getting back together? So the card that we have here is the Overcoming Difficulties card, and I think that kind of mirrors in a lot of ways the messages that were coming up. What it is saying though is that the worst is now behind you, and you are surmounting any previous challenges. So that does feel like that's really positive. This is Archangel Jeremiel's card as well, and Archangel Jeremiel also helps and supports us with priorities, and that feels like that's an important part for you guys moving forward too. What are your priorities as a person? What are their priorities as a person? What would the potential priorities be for the two of you moving forward in a relationship together? I'm not saying no, but it's certainly not clear. And I'm going back to like the last part of the initial message that we were getting around boundaries, because that does feel like that's a really important aspect for both of you moving forward. Because as I said, there are some circumstances and situations in the two of you and who you are that haven't changed. So make sure that you're addressing that, and that those are things that both of you are comfortable with before you continue forward. Tracy, it was a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And we're going to ask the romance angels too to come and help you, whether this is to help you usher in this relationship, this renewal of the relationship, or to help you move forward into another relationship. Whatever is in your best and highest good, we'll ask that they help you with that. Okay, we have Jamie here. Hi, Jamie. Thanks for joining us. Jamie says, do you see anything exciting coming up for me romantically? Maybe meeting somebody new who will blossom into a beautiful relationship. Okay, so when I ask about that, I have somebody who's still kind of hanging out in your energy field. So you're not feeling completely single or you're not feeling completely available. So sometimes this will come up when there's something that we haven't released or let go of from previous relationship, whether it's hurt or whether it's we haven't fully and completely released another person that we've been in relationship with. Sometimes it's not the person themselves, but it can also be the beliefs that we have around relationship and partnership. So it does feel like there is a little bit something that's kind of holding you back. And I'm seeing that needing to be addressed first in order for somebody new, a new opportunity and a new relationship to come in. I do have something that's popping up. Where are we? June, July, August. I'm going to call this in the summer. And this feels like it's a summertime type of relationship. So during the summer, I want to encourage you to make sure that you're getting out, that you're potentially connecting with new people or doing things that are outside of your usual routine, because it does feel like that's where and how somebody is coming in. I'm just not 100% sure that this relationship is what I'm seeing coming up. I'm not 100% sure that this is something that's long term, but it feels like it has the potential to open you up to something that's long term in the future, so possibly in the fall. Often when I talk to people, and particularly if they have been either single for a while or they're just really ready to find their partner and to kind of settle down, and a message like that comes up for them, they say, you know what, if it's not the long term, if it's not the real deal, I don't want it. Sometimes these little in between relationships and connections are incredibly important, and they're a bit of a stepping stone that helps take us to the next level. When we are healing in like after the ending of a relationship, there's only so much healing that we're able to do on our own, because it's not until we're in a new relationship or a new connection with somebody else that other things are triggered that come up to the surface that need to be addressed. And so sometimes these little, what I'm going to call like an in between kind of relationship or situationship or connection, they're necessary because it's bringing up to the surface the stuff that has been preventing us or blocking us from connecting with that person that we are really wanting to connect with. So, what I am seeing is that there is somebody who is popping up for you in the summer. It feels like it's a really interesting connection. It definitely feels like it's worth exploring. But what I'm kind of wondering is it doesn't feel like it's something that's leading to long term, or at least not leading to long term on the surface as it is. But it definitely feels like it's worthwhile. And I do have relationship and partnership that's feeling more secure and more stable as we come into the fall or even into the winter of 2022. So, yes, in answer to your question, there is something that's coming, but it's potentially coming in the form of two different people. The summer feels like it's a really important time for you for relationship and connection. And please allow yourself to be in the moment, to experience something, even if it's not a lifetime experience, but allowing it to be an opportunity to invite love and connection into your life. Okay, so Jamie, we're going to the archangels again for you. And we're just asking what you need to know. And we have, this is interesting. The clear audience card has come up for you. So this is Archangel Zadkiel. His message is notice the loving guidance you hear inside your mind or from other people. With this card, it is one of the four primary ways that we receive intuitive messages and information. Clear audience literally means clear hearing. And so this is a form of intuition that comes through auditorily. So sometimes it's hearing a voice in your mind or hearing song lyrics or music. And it's entirely possible that the person that you're connecting with in the summer is somebody who is really into music. You might meet at like some sort of music festival or concert, or a market that has a lot of music, and the two of you are enjoying the music as you're passing by, and maybe this is part of how things start. But music is the thing that's popping up for me really strongly. So allow yourself to experience some of that over the summer. Jamie, it was a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And we'll also ask the romance angels to help and support you too. All right. Let me see. So Sue is talking about rainbow fluorite and smoky quartz lots of smoky quartz this evening. That's awesome. Okay, so we've got Lynette here. Hi, Lynette. Lynette saying, I feel that there's someone in particular who wishes badly for me? How do I protect myself? That is an amazing question. I'm so incredibly glad that you've asked it, Lynette. First of all, I really enjoy working with angels when it comes to protection. So, one of the things that I would do is call on Archangel Michael. And if you don't remember the names of the angels that I'm saying, don't worry. Angels, please help me, or please help me with X, Y, and Z is more than enough to invite in their help. And whoever is the best to work with you in that way is who will come through. So connect with Archangel Michael, or say, please, angels, please help me release any cords, ties, or bonds that I may have with this person. And basically, what we're looking at are connections that we form between people, places, things, circumstances, and events. There's nothing positive or loving in these cords that are formed. And the effect that it can have on us is either drawing our energy from us or sending negative energy towards us. And so, calling on your angels, asking them to cut and sever and release any cords, any bonds and connections that you may have. Now, when you feel that somebody is trying to harm you, this next step can be a little bit challenging to see yourself doing, but I'd encourage you to try it anyway. And so once you've cut the bonds between you and this other person, ask that those areas where the cords existed, where they connected to you, ask that they be filled with healing, with love, with light, and that they be filled with healing, love, and light for wherever they have fallen off from the person that you're disconnecting from. And the reason that we do that is usually cords are formed because there's some sort of imbalance that is occurring for one or both people. If somebody is wishing you harm or has ill will towards you, there's likely some sort of healing that's needing to happen there. Either they've been triggered by something, or they've perceived something, or you actually have done something that has been hurtful or harmful. I mean, that can happen too. But regardless of why it formed, healing is something that can be really helpful and beneficial. And so when you send healing, not only to yourself, but to the other person, there's the opportunity to create space, distance. And the hope is that there will be no greater need for any form of attack or ill will towards you. However, I would still encourage you to take the next step, which is shielding and grounding, and I'm also seeing a mirror too. So I'll talk about those three things quickly. So shielding can be as simple and easy as you would like it to be. It can also be a little more complex as well. A really basic shield is to see an energy bubble around yourself. Again, you can call on your angels and ask them for help and support with this, or you can work with your guides as well. But I see angels, they work really well with this. And so, angels, please surround me in love and light. My bubble protects me from anything that is negative. So anything that's positive and loving, come on through. But anything that is negative or hurtful or harmful to me, I ask that it bounce off of my shield and be transmuted into love and sent back to wherever it came from. Again, we don't want to perpetuate any negativity. We want to send back love and healing. The mirror is coming up because it feels like it's also reflecting back. So, you can use a bubble, you can use mirror as well. So, love can still come through, but it's, just a little more resistant and resilient. I did have a friend and one of my Reiki students who used to work in, oh, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like a detention center, only it was pretty heavy duty. And she is a highly empathic, very sensitive to energies type of person. And she started using lead in her shielding so that nothing could come through. And that was part of how she was able to navigate. So you can always ask for different shielding materials so that potentially nothing comes through if you're having a really challenging time and the things that we've talked about haven't been supporting you. So those are the big things that I have. You can call on your angels, ask them for help and support in keeping this person away from you and like transmuting anything that they're trying to send to you. Let me see, Lynette. We're going to go. Oh, you asked for the green deck. We're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Lynette to help and support in dealing with people who may cause you or who may feel ill towards you. So this is really interesting. Let me just see what we have right now. So the card that we have is the Desiree card, and I'm really kind of surprised by this one. We're going to pull a qualifying card too, just to see what's coming up. Okay. So it's basically exactly the same message. So Desiree says, no, conditions aren't favorable right now. Wait or look into other options and ask the angels to help guide and comfort you. So there is something that's kind of keeping things on pause in this situation. So definitely call on your angels, ask them for help, ask them to continually clear your energy, and ask that they help and support you in rebuffing any ill intent that's coming towards you. I laugh because the clarifying card that we got is the patience card. So the first card was like wait, and the second card is patience. Now is the time to learn, study, and gather information. Enjoy being a student because in the future you will synthesize your knowledge into action. Okay, so there is a reason that this is happening for you, and I hesitate to say that when things are challenging for people, but it feels like part of what you are doing now is going to be something that you're using to help and support yourself, not only now but in the future. And I'm seeing you helping and supporting others with this as well. So there is a reason that things are happening. There is healing that's happening, and I do see that there's a time when healing happens between you and this other person on more of an in-person level as opposed to just on an energetic level, and that's potentially part of the reason that there's more that's continuing to come to you. At the same time, with the awareness that you have of it, you don't need to hold on to it and to continue to experience it. So call on your angels, ask them for help and support in clearing anything that may already be existing in your body, in your energy, and ask for protection and support so that there isn't any more that's coming and attaching itself. And again, send it back as healing, because there's no point in perpetuating any negativity that's being sent out towards you. Lynette, it's a pleasure. It was a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, support, and protection, energy, and vibes your way. And thank you for asking, because I believe that there are other people who are listening this evening who will benefit from the message that has come up for you this evening. So thank you for that and for being part of our community. Awesome. So we've got Jackie here. Hi, Jackie. Thanks for joining us. Jackie's asking, what can I do to help me decide on business goals, going out on my own or anything that comes up? Okay, so let's take a look. I keep hearing priorities. It feels like you either are in a place or you're coming into a place where you're focusing more on the things that are most important to you. And it feels to me like that's part of where prioritization and business goals are coming in. I'm not sure if you already have a business, or it feels like if you do, that there might be a bit of change that's coming up in the existing work and business that you're focusing on right now. Where are we going? I'm seeing letting go and then taking off. It kind of reminds me of a hot air balloon that's sitting on the ground that it's about ready to take off. They're, filling it up with the heat, with the helium. I'm not exactly sure what it is that they use, but they're like pulling down so that there's more heat that's going up, and they're throwing off the sandbags. And so I'm seeing you being in a place where you're throwing off the sandbags as well. And it feels like this is in part focusing your energy more into one place, because right now it feels like it's going out into a couple of different directions, and it's like, no, we need to fine tune that a little bit. We need to choose one direction to focus on, because you have enough energy for one direction, but you don't have enough energy at this point to sustain 3 or 4 directions. And so the first thing is to get started and to get going and to fine tune and to let go of the things that aren't serving you right now. I'm seeing again the letting go of the sandbags. The sandbags are still on the ground. You can still come back and pick those up at another point and in another in another time. So know that you aren't completely letting go of things, but there is a need to focus on prioritizing what is it that's important to you right now. And as you focus on that in your personal life, then things become really super clear in your work and your professional life. And it feels like it helps you to decide, okay, well, this thing is important to my personal life or in some other aspect of my life. And in order to make sure I have this thing, I have to let go of this other work business thing. And it feels like that's part of how you're deciding what you're letting go of so that you can take off. So it's a really interesting balance between the personal and work in terms of how you're coming up with the business that you're focusing on and the direction that you're going in. But I'm really wanting to remind you that just because you're letting go of something right now doesn't mean that you're not ever going to come back to it. It just means that there is too much energy that's going out in too many different directions, and that's not sustainable to actually get you going. And so once you're going, then you can choose to incorporate those things again if you choose. It could be that as you're getting going on your path, you're like, you know what, that thing was just holding me back. That's not actually what I want to be doing. I'm glad that I let go of it because look at where I am now. So I'm seeing lots of opportunity coming up for you with that, Jackie, and I'm excited about it for you too. We're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Jackie. I'm focusing around business goals. Oh man, that's actually a really big one. The card that we have here is worthiness. Know that you deserve to receive good in all ways. And, often that can be a challenge for people when it comes to money and financial goals. It can come to when it comes to success in our lives, in whatever level, being worthy. So as you are making your choices and decisions around your work, make sure that you're doing some work around worthiness as well. Do I feel like I deserve to experience success in my life in this way? Is it possible for me to experience it, or rather, do I believe it is possible for me to experience success in my work and in my business in this way? And if you find that you're having a hard time believing those things to be true for yourself, take a bit of a look deeper into that, because there is something that's there. But I'm really seeing you taking off. Again, that hot air balloon image is coming up really strongly. So I'm seeing you taking off in a direction that's feeling really positive. Jackie, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and lots of abundance and affirmation angels too. All right, we've got Michelle here. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining us. So Michelle is asking about her nephew and asking if he is okay. And everything that I'm seeing with him is like, I feel like I'm pressing things down and I'm trying to kind of keep things under control. So what I'm seeing is that he's working really, really hard. And he is really focusing on finding his ground. He's focusing on finding his balance. And he's showing me that he's taking one step and he's putting like one foot in front of the other. All of the imagery, all of the messages that I'm getting for him are ones of perseverance. It feels like he is in a place of challenge. It feels like he is in a place of difficulty, but he's showing me he's really actively working towards moving through these challenges. And moving through is also the word that I want to use as well, because there's a sense of having been in a place that seemed stopped, or where there wasn't a lot of action or activity. And so it feels like there's a sense of motivation that's coming up for him, like he's coming into new place or new perspective. And I'm hearing a click. There's like something that's just shifted into place for him. And it's like, oh, click. And that was what he was needing to see in order to make that next step and to move forward. So I am seeing him being in a place of challenge, and I am seeing him being in a place of difficulty, but his perception has shifted and he is actively taking steps to help and to support himself. And when I tap in, I'm seeing lots of love and support coming up around him. But he has intentionally kept himself away from help and support. but now he is becoming open to receiving help and support. And I'm wanting to talk about people and loved ones on the other side. I've got a huge amount of support that's coming up for him on the other side. And I'm seeing a huge amount of support for him coming up from people who are here. And he is literally in a circle, loved ones, and support on the other side. And then behind him are the people who are here, who love him here. And he is literally in the center. So he is very protected right now as well. We're just going to ask what messages are coming up from, or pardon me, for Michelle, for her nephew. So I had two cards flip out. I love this card has come up, Hello from Heaven card. This is Archangel Azrael, and he's saying your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings. I mean, yes, that is definitely true, but I'm also seeing this as being a confirmation and an affirmation of the loved ones who are on the other side, who are surrounding, loving, and supporting your nephew too. The next card that we have here is the Clear Your Space card. This is Archangel Jophiel. Her messages: get rid of clutter, clear the energy around you, use feng shui. You know, in terms of the question that we've asked, this card is coming up because it feels like there's a lot that your nephew is clearing out, releasing, healing, letting go of. It feels like there has been a lot that he has been carrying around with him, and now he's finally okay with setting it down and moving on, moving past, and or healing from it. If it's at all possible, I'm wanting to clear the physical space around him too. So if he is in a space where there's a lot of stuff that has gathered, I'm wanting to clear that out, but I'm seeing this being more of an energetic and an emotional support that's coming up for him. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure connecting with you this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you, and lots of love and support to your nephew and other family members who may be concerned about him as well. Awesome. Let me see. Okay, so we've got Ba here. Hi, Ba. I love your name. Ba's asking, am I going to find what I'm looking for in the water? Oh, that's a really interesting question. So I'm seeing a couple of different answers. The first thing that I heard when I asked the question was, yes, you will absolutely find it. And then I saw that you were finding a lot of other things that you were looking for in the water as well. So it's really interesting. But I'm going to go with the first feeling and the first sensation that I had, which was that yes, you were connecting with whatever it is that you're looking for in the water. It does feel like you're going to need to look for it, though. It doesn't feel like it's going to be really readily apparent. I'm seeing the need to have something additional that's helping you to find whatever it is that you're looking for. And I keep seeing like there's a specific place. So I don't know if you have a specific spot that you're going to look for this, but it does feel like there is support for you in finding what you're looking for. And that once you have the appropriate resources, it feels like it's a really simple mission is the word that I'm going to use. Let's see what else. Well, we're obviously going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask, what does Ba need to know? We had a card flip right out. And the message that we have here is a new dawn. The worst is now behind you, and positive new experiences are on the horizon. This is a wonderful card to get at any time, but it feels like especially right now, because I'm seeing whatever it is that you're looking for feels like it's something that you've been looking for a while. It feels like it has significant value to you as well. And it feels like it's also helping to put something to rest. There's a sense of completion that feels like it comes with this, and it feels like you're then able to start moving forward as well. And it feels like that's really what the New Dawn card is signifying, is that challenges are about to be resolved and that you're able to start moving forward. But I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined us this evening. Thank you for popping on tonight. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And we'll call on the mermaids and dolphins, and we'll ask them to help you find what it is that you're looking for and connect with the water. Okay, let me see. So we've got Allison here. I'm just trying to figure out how to best answer your question. What is the next step in my career path? And you're asking about the mermaid and dolphin deck. Okay, so when I ask for Allison, what do we have coming up? So I'm actually seeing a break. So it feels like we've got a couple of options and a couple of decisions. So yeah, you're coming to a decision. You can't continue on the, how do I put that? There are changes that are needing to be made. You are being given choices. You can't continue on the path as you are. So it does feel like in order to, or sorry, I don't know how to best describe what it is that I'm seeing, because initially I was seeing that the path was forking off. So two different decisions. I'm seeing that there is now the opportunity to continue forward as you are, but it dead ends. So then you end up having to backtrack and you have to make a choice and a decision. So it does feel like you're coming up to a point where you're needing to make that choice. Either you're going to go in this direction or this direction. If you do try to carry on a bit, you are going to hit a dead end and you're going to have to come back to this decision. So you can't avoid it. I keep seeing you going on this path, but I'm not exactly sure what direction that is. So when I ask, it is the path that I'm seeing feels like it is the one that is, it has the least amount of challenge to it. I'm seeing that there's a lot of bright light that comes up with it, where the other one is feeling like there's more challenge. It's feeling darker, and it feels like there are more obstacles with it too. So I don't know if you're somebody who maybe struggles with taking the path of least resistance. But that's the choice that I'm seeing for you. And it feels to me like this path is going to branch off into other paths and other options as well. It feels to me like this is, what are we doing? It feels like this is something that is that you see as being as a temporary option. But what it is it's something that's taking you to the next point and the next choice and the next decision. And I'm seeing in some way that these two paths do connect back with each other, but you're just bypassing a lot of the challenge with it. I'm not sure how else to explain what it is that I'm seeing, except to say that a choice is necessary, and relatively soon. If you try to avoid the choice, then it's just going to come back and kind of hit you. So you're better to make it now, or nowish, or soon rather. Nowish, make it soon, sooner rather than later. And it is going to be the path of least resistance. It's going to be the one that looks like it's not going to last as long as the other one, but there are a lot of opportunities that spring from it that you're just not able to see yet. And it feels like it ends up putting you in a place that is really helpful and supportive. And I'm also seeing that this is potentially the option that is creating the most challenge with the people around you who love you, because they're looking at the long term. They're looking, yes, this is more difficult and challenging, but there's more long term support that's coming up with it. I'm not seeing that actually being a factor in your decision making process. It feels to me like, as I said, you're taking this path of least resistance and that there are opportunities that are coming up as a result of the choices that you're making. Okay, we're going to the mermaid deck and we're just going to ask, what does Allison need to know about next step in her career path? And the card that we have here is watch your thoughts. So affirmations, manifestation, this is really important. It's important to only think about what you desire and not about what you fear. So I go back to that last message that we had, that there could be people around you who are saying, you know what, it makes the most sense logically in the long term to take this other more challenging path. I'm seeing you saying, you know what, just because it is challenging and just because there's something that you can see on the other side doesn't mean that this path isn't valuable, isn't worthwhile. And I am ready to see where it will take me in the future. There is a sense of adventure that's coming up with this, and I'm seeing a lot of support along the way too. once you get on the path. So that feels like that's the most challenging part. Allison, it was such a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And I'm also feeling the need to, sometimes we get spammers on the show, people who are sending requests, or pardon me, asking you to PM them or inbox them because they have readings and messages for you. I just want to put out there, those people don't have any connection with me. I go through and I block and ban them after the show. So please, if you don't feel drawn to engage, I've got your back. But I don't have any control over it while I'm live. So my apologies if we do have a spammer on, and it feels like we might. Let me see. So we've got Manuela here. Hi, Manuela. Thanks for joining us. Manuela says, the last time I spoke to my son, it did not go well, and he cut me up again. Oh, I'm sorry. He has a problem with addiction, and I worry about him. Will he find his way and get help? My sincerest love and support and apology to you, Manuela. That feels like that's difficult and challenging for both of you. Let's ask about your son. What do we have going on? So he's showing me that he's in a loop. He's stuck in a spiral, and he is having a hard time seeing a way out. And I'm not feeling him being completely motivated to find a way out at this point just yet. It does feel like there is an out that's available to him, but it's one that he's not ready sorry. I was going to say it's one that he's not ready to see yet, but he is aware that it is there. It's a step that he's not ready to take. And it's really interesting. The way that I'm seeing it is kind of like a roller coaster that's on a continual loop like this. And after the roller coaster, there's like a door, like a really heavy door that is open. So I'm seeing that he has the support, that he knows that the support is there, but he's just not ready to get off of the roller coaster just yet. But I do see that there is a time that he does. He slides off of the roller coaster, he goes out the door, and it does feel like there's healing that happens on the other side. The roller coaster becomes one that is up and down. So it's not an easy path that he's taking, but it's out of this cycle and it's focusing more on these ups and downs. And that's feeling really helpful and supportive. I have a time frame that's coming up. It feels like it's a year and a half. I'm not sure if that is how long it takes him to take that door, or if that is how long it takes him once he goes through the door, for him to find himself in a place where he's coming into balance, where he's had enough help and support and healing that he's able to start making significant progress. But I do see him coming into that place. I'm just not sure of the timeline and the time frame. When I ask from your perspective what it is that you're able to do, I'm seeing that you're able to love him, but I'm also seeing that there's a fair amount of distance that you're needing to maintain as well, and that feels like that's coming from a place of protection for yourself. And that's really hard, because despite the ups and downs that you've gone through, despite what he's done to hurt you, I'm still feeling a lot of love that's coming up for you, for him. Of course, this is your son, but it feels like distance is part of what's needed. And I'm really sorry, because I see how difficult and challenging that is for both of you. Yeah, let's just ask if there's any help and support that's coming up that we can call in. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he is having some sort of spiritual or psychic experiences, and I'm not sure if that's part of where his addiction is coming in, either to like dampen or repress the experiences that he's having, or that this is helping and supporting him in the experiences that he's having. But it does feel like there are shifts that he is experiencing that are feeling like they're positive. It does feel like there is an opening that's happening there. See, we're going to go to the archangels, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Manuela and her son in his healing and recovery. Yeah, so we've got the sensitivity card coming up here. This is Archangel Haniel, and her message is: you are extra sensitive to energies and emotions right now. Honor yourself and your feelings. And this is actually something that we often see with people who do gravitate towards different types of addiction. This can be substance or it can be other addictions as well. And basically, what it is it's to repress the sensitivity that we're feeling and experiencing. It often happens or starts for people when they're quite young, too, like children, teenagers, where there is so much that they are feeling like they're bombarded with that they're needing something to mellow it or to disengage and to go into something else. And it feels like that could be part of what is underlying the addiction that your son is experiencing, is that this is actually a form of coping mechanism for him that has just continued to snowball, because the sensitivity doesn't change or doesn't shift. So calling on Archangel Haniel can certainly be helpful and supportive. You can call on all of the archangels, ask them to help and support you, and ask them to help and support your son as well. They can't override free will. So, if your son absolutely does not want to receive help and support, you can't override that. But you can certainly still continue to ask for help and support for him. And so that when he is interested and ready and able to accept that help and support, that it's there waiting for him. Manuela, I'm so glad that you joined us this evening. Thank you so much for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you and to your son as well. Awesome. We've come to the end of our evening this evening. I'd like to thank you so much for joining me for tonight's Connection with Intention. I'm Erin Lee of heavenlymessenger.com. I'd love to connect with you if you want a personal reading for yourself. All of my availability is on my website, bookingwitherin.com. I'm currently seeing people for Zoom, Skype, and phone readings. I am not doing in-person sessions yet at this point. I won't be doing them until the summer at the earliest. And that will be once I figure out how to accommodate people in my space and in my home again. So that will not be happening until the summer. But in the meantime, phone, Skype, and Zoom are always options. Thank you again so much for joining me. I will be back next week on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific, which is 10 p.m. Eastern, for Connection with Intention. And I hope that you have a fabulous week. See you then.